have a drug that is a master hormone regulator like human growth hormone, because human growth hormone works centrally and controls most of the other hormones within the body to one degree or another. How could, and if you know for a fact that the majority of people over the age of 60 have almost undetectable levels of human growth hormone, and if you know for a fact that by replacing that hormone to physiologic levels of a normal, say, 45 or 35-year-old, these people improve, they increase their muscle mass, they increase their strength, they increase their bone mass, they increase their nerve conduction velocity, their organs start to perform at more youthful levels, they feel younger, they have more energy, etc., etc., etc. How on earth could you say that that doesn't have a benefit from aging-related disease?
Well,
But
I
that's
know.
exactly what the critics say.
Oh, yeah, I know that. But okay,
They
let
have
me.
they have this soundbite approach
Yeah, they
to
do. They do.
criticism, and they have this one soundbite, and they never follow it up with any science. And the science they follow it up with, if they ever talk about science, is bogus studies that talk about side effects. Oh, growth hormone causes diabetes, they
Or
say.
cancer or whatever.
Or cancer, or whatever,
Yeah,
right.
I've
Well,
heard that.
there
Yeah.
is not a single documented case of cancer, okay, associated with the physiologic replacement of human growth hormone in adults.
Right.
Not
Okay.
a single one. Let's talk about diabetes. Diabetes is an irreversible disease. Last time, at least when I was in medical school, it was, correct?
Sure.
I mean, you don't get
It
diabetes
is.
and it disappears and it comes back and it disappears. It's there. You have diabetes, your kidney, your pancreas has failed you in regard to its ability to regulate insulin metabolism. True?
Right.
Okay. Well, if you look in Guyton's textbook of physiology, which is like the gold standard of all physiology textbooks, or any textbook for that matter, and you read about the physiologic effects of growth hormone, you will read that growth hormone antagonizes insulin. And insulin antagonizes growth hormone. That means if you take insulin, it will lower your growth hormone levels. If you take growth hormone, it will lower your insulin levels.
Okay.
That's a normal effect of growth hormone. That's just the way it is. That's the way God made us. Okay? So, for a researcher to say that growth hormone causes diabetes, as opposed to growth hormone may lower your levels of insulin,
Right.
and it is a transitory effect. When you stop taking the growth hormone, the insulin comes right back. Well, some people might consider that a lie or a misrepresentation at the very least.
Sure. Okay.
And
Now,
that's what you see. And that's why
that's where it comes. That's where all the criticism comes from. Okay. Now I agree with you.
The criticism is unscientific, is what I'm saying, and is driven not by scientific purposes. It's driven for political purposes, and it makes it very hard for the common individual on the street to understand this when they have, some guy at some major university who supposedly has impeccable credentials saying this stuff that is, just bogus.
I hear you. I hear you there. Yeah, and that brings me to another subject that I'm very concerned about, and that is the regulation of hormone therapy and supplements. And myself, I'm a very libertarian type person, and I don't believe anyone should be able to use whatever therapy that they so desire. But I see troubling signs now. Even though A4M is out there and the Immortality Institute is out there, and you've got even Olshansky, even if you think that he's kind of off the mark, at least he's approaching Congress about slowing down the aging process. And you've got the Methuselah Foundation. There seems to be a lot of pressure for anti-aging research and people to use supplements to help their health and to slow down the aging process. However, at the same time, it does seem there is a lot of regulation in the works from Congress. I mean, you just turn on the TV and you see congressional hearings about, it's so terrible that baseball players are using human growth hormone. We have to ban it. We have to ban all types of hormone therapy. We have to ban all these supplements. And I'm just wondering, how can both of these movements coexist at the same time? And I'm sure A4M is...
You have to ask yourself why. You have to ask yourself why Congress, why hormone replacement therapy, why appropriate physiologic hormone therapy, why that should become a political issue. You have to ask yourself, what is behind that? I always ask myself that. And when you finally come to when you finally ask that question, you will come to a conclusion that this is not a scientific argument. This is a political argument, and it may be there may be some very unsettling reasons behind that. You realize, of course, that I wrote the book. I'm the co-author of Death in the Locker Room, which created the entire awareness of anabolic steroid abuse in sports medicine. My partner, the chairman of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine, my research partner, Dr. Robert Goldman, is the #1 drug control officer in the world for the entire sport of bodybuilding. He's also the the medical director for the International Federation of for the International Medical Foundation, and he's very prominent in the drug control issue. As a matter of fact, he designed the drug testing laboratories for the International Olympic Committee.
I know. What I'm worried about is that all of this sports regulation is going to spill over. It's going to spill over into general society, and just because sports leagues are trying to control, who uses it, Congress is getting in on the game here and is going to start banning everything that.
That's a very good point. And my point of saying that is that there is a huge difference between anabolic steroid abuse in sports as a performance-enhancing agent and the appropriate medical use of hormones for regenerative medicine or for rehabilitative medicine or for maintaining one's physiology as they grow older to fight disease and to prevent disease. There's a huge difference between those two. They are not in the same ballpark at all. However, the powers that be have compressed these two conditions, these two issues into one, and are now trying to beat the heck out of anybody who uses hormone replacement therapy as if they were somehow doing something illegal, which or immoral, and not illegal, but immoral, which drug enhancement in professional sports. We decided as a society that that's not a good thing.
Yeah, and I'm all for, sports leagues being able to monitor their athletes so that there's fair competition, but, I'm just worried I'm worried by this trend for increasing regulation. In fact, someone who could not attend, and I did ask a question about if you had heard of Codex
Alimentarius.
Thank you very much, Dr. Klatz. It's a combined effort between Europe and U.S. to regulate
nutritional therapies.
Nutritional.
And, when you get behind